Well, hello, everybody. I'm here today with Mike Klemmer. He's the CEO of Aerial Resupply Coffee. Hey, Mike, welcome to this week's Business Spotlight interview.
Hey, thanks for having me, Kelly.
Great. I really appreciate you taking some time with us today. Let's just get right to the questions.
Sure.
So, Mike, tell me a little bit about your business and how long you've been doing this.
Yeah, so Aerial Resupply Coffee is a veteran-owned, veteran-operated coffee roaster that really focuses, I think, on supporting others and really supporting those who defend our nation or who provide services to the general public, like first responders, law enforcement. And we started this business almost a year ago in August of 2021. So we actually just turned one.
Excellent, excellent. So you mentioned a little bit who you serve. How are you differentiating between your, you said first responders, military? How are you targeting those folks? How is it different than other coffee brands?
Well, I think that other coffee, so I'll start with other coffee brands, I think have slanted themselves into a much more aggressive stance, targeted specifically at kind of the current active serving, and it's through their branding or through their names. Black Rifle obviously has the AR-15 on the front of their bag. Mm-hmm. For me, what I've chosen to do is be much more centered around the idea of support, which, the parachute on my bag or the parachute in my logo is, hey, we'll support anybody, anywhere, anytime. The parachute doesn't care who it's supporting. And so for me, it's about becoming much more of a, I'd say, friendly option to not just the military, but to the consumer base in the United States as well.
Okay, yeah, that's some pretty cool ideas actually, and especially when you're focusing on those military customers or first responders and the support. That's pretty cool. What made you decide to get into this kind of business, going from military to this?
Well, I mean, two reasons. I mean, it took me about 10 years in the Army to really start to like coffee. And then once I started liking it, I realized how bad Army coffee was, right? And so, I took some time after I retired to just kind of get my feet on the ground in terms of, finding my own, just finding my next career path. And I realized that I wanted to do more. And I feel like coffee is the ultimate in terms of building relationships. And so it's really that familial drink that everybody kind of has. And you remember it. It's not alcohol, but it's, and it's where what everybody drinks whenever they're in the office, where they're with friends, with family. And so I wanted to be a part of that. And I felt like what better way to do that than to have my own spin on it with Aerial Resupply.
Yeah. So just turning 1 year, 1 year old as a business. What's the biggest issue you've had to overcome in that first year of startup?
I would say it's not so much a singular issue. It's the knowledge and the idea that as a one-man operation, it is really about, I guess, time management and understanding that everything is effectively on fire at the same time. It's very much trying to do everything. And what I've had to realize is that slowing down on certain things and really focusing on the things that matter, are where I see the most growth. And I kind of catch up on things as I can that I've determined are not as critical for at this moment in time.
Right. Now that's a great insight, because we look at a time target, right? And on how we look at time management, and that center bullseye is, what we call the urgent but not important. So that's right. That's working on that strategic building of your business. And 20% of your time should be focused on that. And then that next ring out is where most of your time is, and that's the urgent and important, all those things that are urgent but also important, and then you do waste a lot of time on those things that are not urgent and not important, because there's that kind of stuff you got to do too, so
well, I also think that for me, I recognize in myself that I'm a very operationally focused person. So it's easy for me to get lost in kind of building systems and building the back end of the business, and not so much identifying, how do I generate customers? How do I market? How do I get brand awareness? Those are things I'm not familiar with. But if we were to talk about supply chain management, I could do that until the cows come home, right? Like I could
Right.
do that for a long time. So it's understanding what's important. And for me, it's been not so much what my bread and butter is, but what I'm not good at. But that's going to be what generates and scales the business.
Right, right. Those things that you got to do every day to generate revenue, right?
That's right.
So, what have you learned about yourself during this journey?
That I can do a lot more than I think I can. I think that I've learned how to do things on my own that normal businesses, I think, pay a lot of money to people to do. That this is, while hard, it's probably one of the most fun things I've ever done. I mean, every day it's I want to do this, not I have to. And that's what I want to keep as I continue to go through this journey as an entrepreneur.
And that's the whole purpose, right, of owning a business, right? Is
Right.
being able to do what you love to do and on your own time, and not be capped by anything. So that's amazing. What advice would you give to anybody thinking of going into business?
Start yesterday. So I think the real thing, you don't need an LLC. You don't need to do anything other. You just need to start, right? And I think what people, and I was kind of like this at the very beginning. I put a lot of emphasis on making sure I had, a logo, making sure I had the LLC set up, making sure I had insurance, making sure I had all. And I chose to do that partly because I was going into consumer goods. But then there became a point of, it just needs to start. I need to see if this is viable. Is somebody going to buy a bag of coffee from me, right? So like for anybody else who's getting ready to start a business, like once you earn that first sale, it's off and running. Then you have to, but until you do that, it's just an idea and you need to get out of your own head.
Right, because people wait until it's the right timing, or they have to get everything in place. And if you do that, sometimes you will never get started, and so that is really great advice. I love that. Start yesterday. How much, like in your process of how much did fear come into it?
Not much actually. Like I came into this mindset of either somebody's going to buy a bag of coffee from me or they're not.
Mhm.
And if they don't, okay, well, I tried. I learned some things along the way. And, if the business were to go away tomorrow, or, if I had started it and it was done in a week and didn't get any reception, okay, well then, maybe it wasn't the right time for me, or maybe I didn't have a good product or a good idea, but that doesn't mean I wasn't willing to do it.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, great. So what's the future look like for Aerial Resupply, and what do you see the main challenges moving forward?
Well, I mean, my ultimate goal with Aerial Resupply is to be the direct competitor to Black Rifle Coffee, and to scale and become a fixture of veteran employment and employment here in the Central Virginia area. So, I'm here to stay, and I think my challenges really are, how do I manage growth expectations, and
Mhm.
how do I rein my own personal expectations in so that I'm not getting out over my skis, as
Right.
a friend of mine would say.
You're right, right, right. Absolutely. That's man, you said some really great stuff. I love it because um I think people can learn so much from the young businesses. You know, People say, oh, well, you've only been in business for so long. You gain so much in that first year of
That's
business
right.
that people that have been doing it forever maybe forget about or whatever. And so it's some really great points that you brought up, Mike. So I do really, really appreciate it. Do you have any offers that you'd like to include in the newsletter?
Yeah. So right now, our brand new dark roast 15W40, which we actually named after maintainers, right? Because maintainers, mechanics use oil all the time and everything. It's everything we do. And so we felt that, what better way to have a blend of coffee that speaks directly to mechanics, right? And
Yeah.
so 15W40 right now in the stores, 20% off. It's our brand new Italian dark roast. And it's I love I love a good dark roast, so I imagine everybody else will too.
What stores are you in?
So stores wise, so you can find me on aerialresupplycoffee.com. You can find me on Amazon. I'm in Walmart online. You can go through Facebook or Instagram shopping. I'm actually working locally here in the Charlottesville area. There's a shop called Jack's Shop Kitchen, which is a kind of a quaint little diner and ice cream store that
Mhm.
retails my coffee. So that's
Nice.
where you
Nice.
can find me.
Okay, awesome. Well, Mike, that wraps up the interview. Really nice job. Thanks so much for taking some time with us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. This was a blast. I really enjoyed it.